Mike Santos slammed the trunk shut on a Mercedes S-Class, scooped up the cartel's $4.1 million in cold hard cash, and vanished into Miami's neon shadows, leaving Eduardo Morales' empire reeling. Before I walk you through the full story, I just have a small favor to ask. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? It's always amazing to see how far this audience is reaching. Mike's routine began innocently enough. He'd climbed into his aging Ford Wrecker each morning at dawn, coffee in hand, and prowled the sunlit streets for illegally parked luxury cars. Escalades, Sequoias, BMWs, vehicles so ostentatious they practically begged for a ticket. He towed them to Cruise Recovery's fenced lot, processed the impound paperwork, and watched them sit until their owners paid hefty fines. But over the spring and summer, the same silhouettes kept reappearing. Texas plates, New Mexico tags, Arizona registrations. The cars would roll up to designated car washes on Biscayne Boulevard at precisely 25 past the hour, sit for 32 minutes, and then vanish, only to pop up back in the impound lot, fully intact and immaculate. One afternoon, Mike's curiosity overpowered his indifference. While prying a trunk open on a glossy black Escalade, he discovered a false panel lined with industrial-grade insulation. He unscrewed it and found vacuum-sealed bundles stamped with the logo of Bankhammer, a notorious Mexican institution blacklisted for laundering cartel's cash. His pulse spiked. Fake VINs scrawled across the paperwork sent him scrambling to DMV records. Every number pointed back to shell companies, crooked officials, and empty promises. He knew then he was towing rolling vaults for Eduardo Morales' network, and that silence might cost him his life. But fear can be a powerful motivator for a man with nothing left to lose. Mike had a 12-year-old daughter, Emma, whose college fund was as empty as his promise to her. He decided to fight fire with fire. Over the next 3 months, he labored in secret, converting his late father's 1978 Airstream trailer into a rolling safe. He welded hidden compartments behind utility panels, waterproofed every joint, and reinforced the floor to support the weight of millions in cash. He scoured online forums for instructions on GPS jammers and learned to clone dispatch logs so that every tow would appear perfectly routine in the system. He recruited 2 forgers to produce genuine-looking IDs and business licenses, one unwitting, the other quietly tied to Morales' underboss, a man nicknamed El Tiburon for his ruthlessness. By October, Mike knew every car wash guard shift, every patrol route, every back road out of Miami-Dade. He established dead drop points in abandoned warehouses along US 1, stashed a stolen Honda motorcycle for quick getaways, and even planted diversion caches of old repo paperwork along the Tamiami Trail. When November 2nd arrived, Mike felt the weight of his plan pressing on him like the humid Florida air. His primary tow truck's hydraulics groaned, dispatcher Anthony Ruiz called in sick, and Maria, an eager new hire, hovered with clipboard in hand. He smiled through greased hands and nervous sweat, passed every roadside inspection, and convinced Maria that a mechanical calibration needed to be done off-site. Then, one by one, he towed 3 high-value vehicles to a 100-year-old waterfront warehouse on Northeast 79th Street. The first trunk he opened was a Mercedes S-Class. He cracked the false floor panels to reveal stacks of $100 bills, nearly $2 million in total. A motion-sensitive alarm clicked to life. Mike froze, heart hammering. With gloved precision, he cut the wires and replaced the bundles with concrete bricks wrapped in identical vacuum seals. He paused only long enough to savor the thrill before slamming the trunk shut and rolling the car back to the impound yard, metal doors clanking shut behind him. Next came the Lexus LX. Its cash was hidden beneath rear seats in plastic-sealed suitcases sold on the black market. Mike yanked them free, grabbed a duffel bag, and started stuffing it with crisp bills. A uniformed guard rounded the corner. Mike ducked behind a steel pillar, his breath shallow until curiosity overcame suspicion, and the guard moved on. With practiced smoothness, he reinstalled the empty cases, closed the seats, and drove the Lexus away without drawing a second glance. The final job was the BMW X7, laden with over $1 million in cash, bars of gold, loose gems, and a small USB drive listing every safe house, bank mule, and crooked official the cartel used. As he pulled sleeve gloves from his pocket, Another guard flicked on his flashlight and peered into the warehouse bay. Mike thrust the loader's clipboard toward him, voice steady. Routine repo inspection, right on schedule. The guard hesitated, then nodded and stepped aside. Mike slipped the USB drive into his pocket and swapped the treasure trove for empty envelopes before slipping out and locking the bay door behind him. By sunset, all three cars sat in the impound exactly where they'd arrived, untampered, undetected. Dispatch logs showed routine tows. Maria signed off without suspicion. Mike's pulse only began to slow when he knew the money and evidence were safe. 2 days later, the fallout began. Anthony Ruiz was found dead in his apartment, bullet wounded, execution style. Miami PD called it a mob hit. That same night, Mike's phone rang with a voice he recognized instantly, gravelly, cold, and unmistakable. "Mr. Tow Truck, we want our money back." He barely had time to process before a uniformed imposter battered down his door. Mike disarmed the intruder in a blur. Gunshots echoed through the halls, then bolted into the pre-mapped maze of alleyways and side streets. He raced toward the Airstream, waiting in his father's abandoned warehouse on Northwest 107th Avenue. Gunmen in black SUVs pursued him through parking garages and residential blocks. But Mike slipped onto a rented Greyhound bus bound for Jacksonville, wearing Jose Ramirez's forged ID. He boarded in plain sight, heart pounding, duffel bag zipped tight. Hours later, he slipped off at a rural station, swapped into his stolen Honda, and rode north on back roads. At dusk, he crossed the Florida-Georgia line. A deputy's K-9 team sniffed at the Airstream's undercarriage, but the dog's handler found nothing more suspicious than leftover dog treats. With a wave and a smile, Mike sailed through the checkpoint, and then he vanished. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one.